Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's event. Our first speaker this morning is the 78th Secretary of the Navy, the Honorable Carlos del Toro. Born in Havana, Cuba, Secretary del Toro immigrated to the United States with his family as refugees in 1962. Raised in the Hell's Kitchen neighborhood of New York City, he attended public schools and received an appointment to the United States Naval Academy, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in electrical engineering. Secretary del Toro was commissioned as a surface warfare officer upon graduation in 1983. His 22-year naval career included a series of critical appointments and numerous tours of duty at sea, including as the first commanding officer of USS Bulkley. After retiring, Secretary del Toro founded a small business with his wife, Betty, which they led together for 17 years. Secretary del Toro holds a Master's in National Security Studies from the Naval War College, a Master's in Space Systems Engineering from the Naval Postgraduate School, and a Master's in Legislative Affairs from George Washington University. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 78th Secretary of the Navy, Carlos del Toro.
Thank you, Captain. Good morning, Michigan. Good morning, Lansing. How wonderful to be here with all of you. It is truly a spectacular day, and I'm so glad to be here in the state capitol and middle of the lower Michigan's, quote, pleasant peninsulas, unquote. It's an honor to be standing here on the steps of one of the most beautiful and storied Capitol buildings in our nation, and it is really spectacular. Governor Whitmer, thank you for joining us today, ma'am, and for your steadfast support and partnerships on issues that are critical to the success of our Navy, Marine Corps, and indeed our nation. And I know how dedicated you are to protecting our service members and all services across the military. Thank you, ma'am. Mayor Shore, state and city officials, thank you for joining us today. The ties between our Navy and Michigan date back for more than 200 years. For centuries, the sons and daughters of the Great Lakes State have answered the call to serve our nation's military, with stories of courage and heroism that have been captured throughout our nation's history and our Navy legacy. We recall, for example, on the morning of December 7th, 1941, a Lansing area native, Ensign Francis Charles Flaherty, from just 20 minutes west of here in Charlotte. He was serving aboard the USS Oklahoma, one of our battleships stationed at Pearl Harbor. Oklahoma was one of the first casualties of World War II. It was struck by multiple torpedoes and began capsizing just minutes after the first bombs fell. Ensign Flaherty sacrificed his life to allow the rest of his turret crew to escape the sinking ship. He was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for his sacrifice. Men and women like Ensign Flaherty have been born and raised all over the city, the state, and indeed the nation. And the names of our ships record many of their names and the places that they hailed from. The first naval warship to bear the name Michigan was commissioned in 1844 for service on the Great Lakes and was, in fact, the first iron-hulled ship in the United States Navy. In all, 32 ships have been named after this beautiful state, its cities, its places, and most importantly, its people. There have been 5 Detroits, 3 Michigans, 2 Flints, and 1 Grand Rapids, for example. The courage and dedication to our nation of the people and communities of the state have been recognized from the earliest days of our Navy. But yet, there has never been a ship in the United States Navy named after the city of Lansing. And maybe it's because the city was just, according to some, quote, a hole in the woods when it became your state capital back in 1847. It's no longer a hole in the woods, that's for sure. But I don't know for sure why there hasn't been a ship named after this city. I do know, however, that this city is a testament to the monument to American ingenuity and our democratic ideals. And now it is my deepest honor to announce that the next Expeditionary Fast Transport, TEPF-16, will be named the USNSS Lansing. I can't tell you, Governor, how much pleasure it gives me to correct that wrong in our nation's history. Our EPFs are truly force multipliers for our combat logistics fleet. They allow for quicker responses to crisis. They strengthen our ability to conduct humanitarian and disaster relief operations and provide logistical support for special forces missions. Their agility gives our fleet commanders greater flexibility and strategic options on the ever-changing global stage. It will be manned by dedicated crews, comprised of both civilian mariners for the Military Sea Lift Command and embarked military active duty personnel. Their expertise and teamwork will ensure it operates at peak efficiency, delivering critical resources and services exactly when and where they might be needed. And I'm pleased to announce, additionally, that supporting that crew as the ship sponsor will be one of your own, Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Governor, if you'll just join me at the podium for a second. It is my great pleasure and honor to present you this sponsor's letter, and I'm going to take a moment to read it. Dear Governor Whitmer, the Navy's newest expeditionary fast transport ship Lansing is named to honor the capital of Michigan. This naming celebrates the contributions of not just the citizens of Lansing, but also the countless contributions of Michigan's citizens. It's my pleasure to invite you to be the sponsor of this great ship, and I would be honored if you would accept this invitation. As sponsor, you will have a lifelong relationship with the ship and its crew, playing a leading role in both the christening and the commissioning. Please let me know if you're able to accept this.
Accept it. Accept it.
Excellent. Thank you, Governor. And of course, I can't think of no better liaison for this state and this city than a governor who was born here and who has dedicated her life and her career in service to the Great Lakes state. I know you will certainly be a guiding light to the crew of Lansing wherever she may sail. And I cannot thank you enough for your service to our nation and your steadfast partnership to our Navy Marine Corps team. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning for this tremendous occasion and for your support of our fleet, our Marine Force, and our nation. May God bless the sailors, the Marines, the civilians, and their families with fair winds and following seas always. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce the 52nd mayor of this spectacular city, Mayor Shore. Mr. Mayor, the floor is yours, sir.
Well, thank you, Secretary Del Toro. Thank you all for being here today. It's such an exciting day. It's wonderful to see so many high-ranking folks of the Navy, so many of the governor's folks, and so many of our folks here from the city of Lansing. I see a lot of our police officers and our firefighters, some county folks, some county commissioners, and what an exciting day. So on behalf of the city of Lansing, I am incredibly honored to join you today to officially announce the naming of the USNS Lansing. It's not on my talking points, but I already told the secretary we're already talking about how are we going to 3D print these and start giving them out to people. What a great gift to give to folks when you come to Lansing. As mayor, you get to take part in a lot of things. You get to do ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings and retirement ceremonies and business expansions. But it's definitely not every day the Secretary of the Navy comes to town to name a ship after your city. Clearly, this is a first for us. So today is really special and a unique honor. As you heard from the Secretary from the beginning, the city of Lansing has had a strong history of supporting our U.S. Navy. When the Civil War broke out, as mentioned, we were a small rural town connected to the rest of Michigan by dirt and mud wagon roads. But Lansing residents stepped up when President Lincoln and Governor Austin Blair put out a call for troops. More than 500 men out of a population of about 3,000 went on to serve and defend our Union. For the Spanish-American War and then World War I, our residents answered the call to serve again. At the same time, Lansing was establishing itself as a manufacturing hub, and products produced right here supported those war efforts. In the 1940s, when World War II started, manufacturing was booming, and our auto plants were quickly converting to support the war effort. Everything from firefighting equipment for the U.S. Navy to propellers and components for aircraft and naval gun mounts. So we have a proud tradition here. We know Motor Wheel, which is now apartments, that back in the day produced wheels for tanks and trucks, and our Oldsmobile plant was quickly converted into a munitions production facility, producing cannons and incredible amounts of anti-aircraft shells and shots for cannons and tanks. And now even today, we help to continue to defend America's troops from chemical warfare by producing the anthrax vaccine right here in northern Lansing. Not a lot of people know that. I'm not sure if we're supposed to talk about that. So this is between all of us friends, the media, as you all know that. The USNS Lansing will continue this tradition of support that Lansing residents started more than 160 years ago. This makes the naming of this new fast transport vessel so special to our city. We know she's going to join this Navy fleet with the USS Michigan, the USS Carl Levin, the USS Gerald Ford, representing this great state. We'll put in a plug for the future for the USS Gretchen Whitmer. I'm just saying. You heard it here first. And I do want to thank our governor for being here and for being the ship's sponsor. How cool is that? Again, when you get elected mayor, when you get elected governor, I don't know if you ever thought about being the sponsor of a naval warship, but a transport ship. But we're so proud. The governor, as you all know, is a Lansing resident, our former prosecutor in state legislature, and she's been such an incredible governor for our state. So once again, on behalf of our city of Lansing and our 113,000 residents, thank you for this great honor. And I will turn it back to Captain Doss, who I believe is going to introduce our governor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary and Mayor Shore. Our final speaker this morning, as noted, is Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Born in Lansing, a graduate of Michigan State University, Governor Whitmer is a lifelong Michigander, hope I said that right. From the State House and Senate to today as governor, she has dedicated her career of service to your state. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Well, thank you, Captain. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, Mayor, and I've got my Adjutant General and directors from my departments here. We are thrilled to be making this announcement today. So good morning to everyone. I'm so proud that Lansing will soon have a United States Navy ship named after it, the first ever. I'm honored that Secretary Del Toro has named me as its sponsor. When I received that call, to your point, Mayor, I had no idea that this could be a possibility, and so it's really a great point of pride for our state, for this beautiful city, and to personally have a role in it. I'm grateful. Right now, the ship is being built in Alabama, but I hope it can be back here in Michigan for the formal commissioning ceremony. I look forward to the date she formally hits the water for the first time as the USS Lansing. I often tell people we focus on the East Coast and the Fresh Coast, but we should be focusing on the Fresh Coast more, right? My friends, the largest coastline in the country. I want to admit something to you all here now. I am a avid fan of the city of Lansing. I am a proud Lanstronaut. My relationship to this area spans my entire life. Both my mom and dad worked here. My father serving in a Republican governor's administration, my mother serving in a Democratic attorney general's administration. And they passed on so much of what they learned here in Lansing to me and my siblings, advice that has helped me throughout my life and career. I came for college, graduating twice from MSU and stayed and raised my family here in this area. Married a man who also is from Lansing, and you know the rest of the story. But after my time in the legislature, I recommitted my dedication to the people of this community as prosecutor and now certainly as governor. Lansing is a special place. It is a place that is diverse. It is an inclusive city where people came from around the world for an opportunity right here in Lansing. It's why we've got this rich diversity and why we've got such a wonderful story to tell. And best of all, the city of Lansing is on the rise. There are thousands of units of housing under construction. GM's Grand River factory down the street just won a massive investment from the Biden-Harris administration to build electric vehicles. New commercial buildings are going up every single quarter, and new businesses are starting every month. A study found that this is one of the fastest growing regions in the Midwest. There's still a lot of good work to do together. But Lansing is on its way to reaching our full potential, and I know that no one is better suited to do it than my fellow Lansernauts. So I want to thank Secretary Del Toro for choosing to name the ship after us. I'm honored to serve as the sponsor. And Mr. Secretary, I'm grateful for your commitment to Michigan, especially considering our exciting announcement that we will be joining together to announce later today as well. So you all should stay tuned for that. In the meantime, let's revel in this wonderful acknowledgement for the city of Lansing to be a part of the U.S. Navy's ships and war effort to protect us, to make us stronger, to protect our economy, to protect our homeland security. It's an honor for the USS Lansing to be a part of that work and that mission. Thank you, and congratulations to all my fellow Lancernauts. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lancernauts, this concludes our Lansing naming event. Thank you so much for joining us.